Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. First of all, thank you so much for supporting the channel and asking so many questions. There wouldn't be a Magic TV if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you very much. Now, please remember that I get to these questions normally on a Tuesday. So if you want to guarantee to have your question answered, then please get the questions in before sort of Monday or Tuesday. This week, I'm actually filming it quite late. It's Thursday morning, but that's not very often the case. Now, the other thing is you're getting my raw, unfiltered opinion. I don't look at these questions beforehand. You're getting my off-the-cuff comments. If I think there's a video that I can make out of a question, you know, if there's something that's a little bit meatier that will take me more time to answer, I'll do a video in a future date. Having said that, there are a ton of questions this week. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time to ask all these questions. I'm going to get straight into it right now with this week's Q&A. So the first question is from David Blaine 5405, and David Blaine says, make a top 10 favorite effects using the silent assistant. That's actually something that I am going to be doing. I've been doing a lot of top 10 lists recently. I did the what did I do? I did the top 10 Sharpie tricks, top 10 paddle tricks. I've got another couple that I'm in the middle of filming. I'm definitely going to do one on silent assistant, or what I might do is hows and whys of the silent assistant and talk about all the different ways that you can actually use it. My favorite way of using the silent assistant is the use of it that I did on the hidden gems a couple of weeks ago, which was the cap in bottle. It also makes a really good gimmick that you can use in conjunction with Chop. If you use Chop and a silent assistant together, you can have some crazy good sequences that are just impossible to replicate any other way. And I'm going to go into that. So I'm going to do a hows and whys at some point. The hows and whys videos take a little while to do, but look for it in the next maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, so the next question is from Huggard8860. And Huggard says, hi Craig, I do a few routines where you need to load a coin into the spectator's hand and being one ahead. But around half the time I do it, they want to open up their hand before I tell them to, and that kind of destroys the whole trick. So my question is, how can I fix this problem? Thank you in advance. So what he's talking about here is, let's say you're doing a coins across and you're making the coins jump from one hand to another. It's the whole idea of saying, look, I'm going to do this one final time in your hand. Squeeze the coins for me, loading an extra coin in there, doing a vanish and having it appear in their hand. That's one example. There's a ton of different examples with this. So that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about loading a coin into the spectator's hands. Now, the first thing is, what you want to do is not telegraph what you're going to do. So in other words, Charming Chinese Challenge is a perfect example. With Charming Chinese Challenge, the coins are coming off the ribbon one at a time, right? Now, the final phase is the coin goes into the spectator's hand. Now, you're getting to a point in the routine where you're taking 2 coins and you're loading 3 into the spectator's hand, right? But you're not focusing on that. You don't want to put the focus on that. You don't want to say, right, I'm going to make the final coin go into your hand. So what I want you to do is squeeze these 2 very, very tightly. You don't want to do that, because as soon as you tell them what you're going to do, they're going to be watching for that moment. They're going to be watching more carefully what you're putting in their hand, or they're going to be watching more carefully and feeling more carefully and wanting to have a look in there. So Charming Chinese Challenge is a perfect example, because I say to them in that routine, let's make it harder. There's so much to watch. You take these 2 coins, squeeze them, don't let me anywhere near them. We're just going to focus on this last coin. So I've not told them anything's happening in their hand. The focus has been put on the last coin coming off the ribbon. And then the final coin comes off, and that's when you've got the kicker of the coin going into the hand. But you can apply that to every single situation that you're loading something into a person's hand. Don't telegraph what you're going to do ahead of time. Even with the coins across, where the coins are jumping from one hand to the other, when you've had maybe the 3rd coin go across, you say, look, we're going to make this 20 times harder. Take these 3 if you can, please, and squeeze them tightly. Very good. Now that just leaves us 1 coin. focus on that last coin. I could make it go from here to here, or I can make it go from here into your hand. So again, you're not telling them it's going to go into their hand. And that's the big mistake that a lot of people make when they're doing a routine like this, is you tell the audience what's going to happen, so they're going to be focusing on that. You want to misdirect them. You want to focus their attention elsewhere, so the hand becomes unimportant. I've talked about this before, but it's a little bit like a frame of action. Everything that happens inside that frame of action, that's what the spectator is concerned about. So if you bring attention to their hand and you say you're going to make the last coin go into their hand, the focus is on their hand. That's where the frame of action is. But if you shift the frame of action over here, anything out that set frame of action, people aren't really bothered about. So that's the first piece of advice I would give you. The second piece of advice I would give you is when you put something into their hand and you're loading something else in, tell them to squeeze tightly so you can't go anywhere near their hand. That's the reason to get them to squeeze tightly. You want to go, hey, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to get in there. Squeeze tightly. Don't open your hand for a second. I don't want you saying later on, somehow I got my way in there. Now, in reality, the reason you're telling them to squeeze tightly is you don't want them to open up their hand. But by giving them another reason to squeeze tightly, and if they buy into that, it's going to mean that they're not going to be focusing on the hand again, if that makes sense, and they're going to be squeezing really tightly. Also, turn their hand over. That's also really important. Turn their hand over like that. That's probably the biggest tip I can give you. And the reason is, if somebody does want to look in their hand and their hand's like this, all they have to do is open up their hand to look inside. But if their hand's turned over like that, in order to look in their hand, they're going to have to turn their hand over. And hopefully you'll catch that and you'll say, whoa, no, keep your hand that way. I don't want to be accused of cheating, right? Also, the other thing is picking the right person to do this. You need to be able to, as a close-up magician, you need to be able to very, very quickly, within a couple of minutes of being with a group, know who the person is that could potentially cause problems. And you'll know through experience who that person is, the person that's trying to trip you up, or the person that wants to be the center of attention. This is not the person to do this sort of trick on. You want to do this on the person that's being compliant, that's loving the magic, that's having a great time, because they're going to be less inclined to try and mess you up, right? So it's also about reading the room and reading the audience you're performing for, and knowing the type of person that you need to do this on. The final thing that I would say is, if you're really struggling with this, use a gimmick and routine the trick that you're doing so that there is absolutely no doubt that there's nothing added into their hand. So for example, if I'm just doing the coins across and I've got an extra coin in play, I have no choice but to take those 4 coins, but put them in their hand and add an extra one, add a 5th one, because I'm working one ahead with an extra coin. But if I use a shell, I can literally put the coins in their hand with the shell on one of the coins. They can see there's 4 coins there. I can have them square up. I can take the shell away and tell them to squeeze their hand. And because my hands are empty and they saw 4 coins in their hand and there's no ambiguity, they are not going to suspect or detect there's an extra coin in their hand. So if you are struggling, if you are having issues, use a gimmick or routine the trick so that there's absolutely no doubt that what you're putting in their hand is actually the thing that's going in there. So I've got a coin routine that I do on the Netrix called the purple and green coin routine. And it's a multi-phase copper-silver transposition using a purple coin and a green coin. Now, there's a moment in there at the end where I put a coin into the spectator's hand and it changes into a different coin. I put a purple coin in, it changes into a green coin. Now, I actually use a copper-silver coin. And the reason I use a copper-silver coin is because they're convinced, like they see a purple coin going into their hand. There's no ambiguity there. They know the purple coin's there because they see it. They close their hand around it. And when they open their hand, it's a green coin. Now I'm sacrificing one moment there. There's a gimmicked coin in their hand. So when they see a green coin, I'm going to have to pick it up and do a switch. But it means that I can then be very clean as to the moment that I put the coin in the spectator's hand. So we're sacrificing one moment, but we're improving another moment of the trick, if that makes sense. So think about routining, think about using gimmicks to make that moment where you put something in the hand even cleaner. So, there's a few tips. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully it answers your question. But if you want further clarification, let me know in the comments down below. Okay, so the next question is from Pratek2950. Hello, Pratek. Hope you're well. Hey, Craig, thanks for answering my questions. You're more than welcome. You're really helpful. Thank you, buddy. I've got another one. Being a hobbyist from the past few months, I've been jumping around from one type of magic to another. One day I'm learning cards, next day mentalism, next day coins or rubber bands, and so on. And I feel like I'm not mastering any effect, although I'm not mastering any effect enough to perform in front of an audience. I'm just getting overwhelmed by the amount of effects and magic tutorials. How do I get out of this mess? Thanks again. It's a common problem. It's a common problem. It's a problem that a lot of magicians have because there's so much magic that you can learn. And I'm not just talking about new magic coming out. I'm talking about there's 100+ years of magic that is widely available. Look at how many things are listed on somewhere like Penguin Magic or, listed on library.com or places like that. So I totally get it. It can be massively overwhelming with the amount of tricks that you want to learn. But remember a couple of things. First, remember that magic is fun. Okay, it's not a problem jumping from one type of magic to the next. I do that. One day I'll learn a mentalism trick, next day I'll learn a rubber band trick, next day I'll learn a coin trick. There's no problem with that. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself into one particular area or one particular genre. The whole thing about magic is there's so many wonderful different genres that you can learn, and there's so much knowledge that you can gain from learning all of that it's not a problem. You'll have people giving you advice and saying, well, if you want to do mentalism, you shouldn't do any other type of sleight of hand because if you're going to be taken seriously as a mentalist, and maybe that's right if you're Darren Brown, maybe that's right if you're going to be, a professional mentalist and you're going to go on Britain's Got Talent or something. But, if you're a hobbyist and you're finding your way in magic, there's no problem with going around and learning lots of different tricks, but you feel like you're not mastering any effect long enough to perform in front of an audience and you're getting overwhelmed. The key thing is learn the tricks, absolutely. But remember that magic is a performance art. And one of the most exciting things, one of the best things about magic is the ability to perform it in front of other people. And I'm not talking about walking on stage and performing it in front of 1,000 people. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about going out and doing a gig or doing an open mic night. I'm talking about showing it to a friend. Going into school and showing it to your buddy at school, going into your office where you work and showing it to your buddy at the office. Actually performing this trick to people, actually learning it and then performing it. And what you are describing here is what happens to a lot of magicians, which is they learn the trick and they never perform it. And there's a few reasons for that. And one of the reasons is that you feel nervous, right? You feel nervous performing the trick. Or maybe it's that, oh my gosh, I'm learning this and I'm learning this and I'm learning this and I can't master everything. So set yourself a goal. Set yourself a goal that every week you're gonna learn as much stuff as you want to. But every single week, you're going to learn 2 new tricks to the point that you can perform them in front of people. And then you're going to perform them and find yourself a friend. It doesn't have to be a magician, but find yourself a friend and say, look, I've got this hobby. I love magic. I really do. And I want to get better at it. And I want to have somebody who will be honest with me and tell me if it's not very good, that I can show my magic to before I show it to other people, because I'm working on new stuff every single week. And find that person you can trust that will probably end up seeing how some of the tricks are done, and someone who will give you honest feedback about that trick, and they'll tell you if it's good, they'll tell you if it's not good. For me, it's my wife. My wife will honestly tell me if the trick's not very good. It's the wife test, right? Or in Ryland's case, the mom test. I've got lots of friends in magic, but Sarah's the person that I go to when I want to test something out, and she can tell me what it's like. Find that person and set yourself a goal. Every week I'm going to perform a new trick to that person, or I'm going to perform a couple of new tricks to that person. And then what you'll find is, because learning a trick, this is why I like performing the tricks on the review shows. The reason I like performing magic on the review shows is because by performing that trick, I'm showing that I've learned it to a point that I'm comfortable performing it, right? It's very, very easy to open up a product, spend 10 minutes looking at it, and then go, yeah, I think I can do a review on that. And maybe you could. But if you spend more time working on it and more time learning it to the point that you're actually performing it in front of people, then you spend more time on it because it's a different level of practice, if that makes sense. And it very much depends on the magic that speaks to you. All of this stuff that you're learning, where you're bouncing around from one genre to another genre to another genre, there's going to be certain tricks that you like. There's going to be certain tricks that you're ambivalent to, but then there's going to be other tricks that they blow you away. You love it. You're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love this trick. Those are the ones that you want to practice to the point that you can show them to people, because those are the ones that you're going to feel more passionate about. And part of the thing about learning magic and putting it into your set and putting it into your repertoire is feeling passionate about that trick. There's tricks that I've learned that are amazing tricks, and I know that lots of other magicians do them all the time, and I don't, because I don't feel passionate about that trick. So set yourself a goal. That's really important. Find somebody you can show magic to, and really take the tricks that you feel passionate about and really kind of stretch them out and get them to a point where you can perform them to that person. Okay, so the next question is from Steve. Hi, Steve. Steve says, hi, Craig. Thanks for all your videos. I watch the Q&A every week. Awesome stuff. Thank you very much, buddy. Could you suggest some effects which involve 3 or more active participants? Wow. I like Tequila Hustler I like Tequila Hustler and Love Ritual as 2 examples. So 3 or more active participants. So the first one is that new trick that's just come out from Vanishing Ink. I've just had a look at that, and I very much like it. I can't remember the name of it. It's the new Andy Gladwin trick going on Vanishing Ink right now, because People Power. There you go. People Power from Vanishing Ink. It's the new Andy Gladwin trick. People Power is really, really good. Very much like it. And I've lost my questions. There they are. So People Power is great. You need 6 people up on stage with you. I say stage. It doesn't need to be a stage. It could be, that you have 6 people in front of everyone else. So if you're in a crowded place or something, you bring 6 people up to the front. But I thought that was very clever. I really like that. You talk about Love Ritual, and obviously that's based on some of the work from Woody Aragon. The other thing that Woody has in one of his DVD sets, and you'd have to look into which one, is he's got this really cool thing where he gets everybody in the audience to follow along with him with fingers going up, and everybody ends up holding up a bunch of fingers, and they make decisions and they make choices, and they all end up flipping him the bird. That's a really fun trick as well. That's by Woody Aragon. Max Maven back in the day used to have tons of examples of tricks where there'd be a grid on a screen, and you'd pick a place to start and you'd follow along, and he would end up predicting where you would end up. My friend Russell Leeds, when he brought out Tube many, many years ago, he used that same principle on the front of the London Underground map, and people could follow along and he'd be able to predict where they'd end up. And then that classic opener that a lot of stage magicians use, where you say, hey, you're going to follow along with me, put your hands out like that, turn them this way, interlock them, that thing. That's something that you can literally have an entire room full of people do. And it works to a room full of people, and you get a really great reaction. It's why it's been such a big hitter for so long. And talking about stage magicians, another one that's been done for years and years and years by a lot of stage magicians is the shrinking head, or the growing head, where they bring out that hypnotic disc and they tell them to stare at the disc as it swivels round and round, and then they look at the head and the head shrinks or it grows. That's been done by stage magicians for years and years and years. It's a classic of sort of cabaret style magic. So all of that works well. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, to be perfectly honest. But it's an example. And then stuff that could be done close up, a multiple selection routine is great. I've always liked a multiple selection routine because you're getting multiple people involved in the procedure all the way through, which is awesome. So yeah, there's that. And if something that I played around with on stage once, I say once, I did it for a while and it went really, really well, but I stopped doing it. If you know The Solution by Michael Murray, which is where the spectator solves the cube behind their back, I spent quite a bit of time working on having 4 spectators on stage, giving each one of them a Rubik's Cube and having them stand behind me and demonstrating what I wanted them to do. And then I give each one of them a cube. They start to turn it behind their back, and then all 4 of them bring their cubes out at the same time, and they've all solved their cubes behind their back. It's a really fun, cool premise, to be perfectly honest, and something that works really, really well. So if you are into cubing and you want to do something like that, the solution by Michael Murray can be done with more than one person quite easily, to be honest, and it really gives a big reaction at the end. Outside of that, John Archer, I remember having a thing with him, watching him do a trick with like an Amverti die, or it was a Pro Mystic die, where he'd put the die in the cup and he would get loads of people to shake the cup and look at the number. So you've got like 7 or 8 people thinking of numbers, and his presentation was excellent because his presentation was, he'd say to the first person, right, you're thinking of a number from 1 to 6. Now, to put that into context, if I did this show every single day and I had one day off, I would get this trick, I would get this right one time a week. So if I tell you that you're thinking of the number 3, that's really impressive. And then he goes to the next person, he says, now you are also thinking of a number, and you looked at a number on a dice or a die. Now you'd think that that was a 1 in 6, but it's not, because I did this with 2 people. So it's a 1 in 6 times 6, which is 36. Now, to put that into context, if I did this trick every single day for 5 weeks, I would get it right once. So you picked a blah, I'm telling you right now, you picked a blah. And he keeps going and he keeps going, and he's like, the final one, it's like, well, now you picked a number, this is a 1 in 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, which means it's 1 in 7 billion or whatever it is. And it was and he built and built and built, but he had loads of people thinking of numbers, and he told them the numbers, which I thought was just a really nice presentation of the Anverti die. So that's off the top of my head. Obviously, you've said Tequila Hustler and Love Ritual, which are obviously 2 really good examples as well. But there's some more for you. So that hopefully will give you a rough idea of different ways that you can go with that. Okay, so the next question is from Eurocles Seth, something Seth, Urakai Seth 6017, I think. If I've butchered your name, I'm so sorry. I have multiple ideas for tricks I want to create, but it would be nice to session with somebody on these ideas to get them further than the idea phase. Any tips or thoughts? None of the magicians in my area seem like they are the creator types. I'm also shy though. Would be nice to talk to someone closer to my age. Right, okay. So there's a couple of different things. The first thing is, if you want a creativity jam, the Netrix, without trying to shill my own stuff, the Netrix has a Discord server now, and we've got a dedicated creativity room, and I've spoken about this on the channel, myself and Chris James, who are kind of pushing the Discord. We want to make this the #1 Discord in the whole of Magic within a year. And we're doing that by really focusing on engagement and really focusing on the jam. And obviously the people that are in there are members of the Netrix. And we're going to have a whole creativity room where people can be creative and share creative ideas with each other. And I'll be jumping in and helping, and so will Chris. And we've got a whole bunch of people in there. Now, obviously, you have people of all ages in the Netrix, but if you're wanting somewhere that you can session 24/7, then the Netrix, you access bronze level. Not only do you get access to the whole of the Netrix, but you get the Discord server as well, and we're really building that up. So that's the first place. Now, the second place, and I'm not a member, but of course you talked about sessioning with people your age. There is a website called the Magic Alon Society. The Magic Alon Society, and they have a Discord server as well. There's 313 members. I've got their website up in front of me here. Are you a magician looking to connect with other like-minded individuals and take your magic skills to the next level? Look no further than the Magic Alon Society. We're a group of innovating magicians who support each other and share all their love of magic. Whether you're a seasoned magician or just starting out, the Magic Alon Society has something to offer with 500 plus free magic resources, lectures, live sessions, free downloads, blah, 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 weekly jams, community chats, play games, talk all things magic. The Magic Alon Society is great, and there's a lot of younger magicians that are involved in that society, including Magic Alon himself. So I'm not a member. I know that Ryland wants to become a member, I think. I don't know. Spoke to him about it a couple of weeks ago. But I met some of the guys that are part of that society at Blackpool, and they were awesome. So it might be worth looking into those guys as well. and their website is nas.io. Is that right? nas.io/magic-alon-society. I just typed in Magic Alon Society and that came up. So you've obviously got the Netrix. Netrix works, but if you're wanting, and there are younger members of the Netrix as well. Like a moderator, for example, is Sam Sugarman, who's 18 years old. But if you want a society away from the Netrix that is a growing community, then the Magic Alon Society is something you might want to look at as well. Okay, so the next question is from Jean-Luc Gagnier. How you doing? Jean-Luc says, Craig, I'm going to meet a bar owner today. Awesome. I'm going to propose an open mic night on Monday on the South Shore of Montreal. Stand-up comedy and mentalism, brackets me. Stand-up comedy, magic and mentalism, brackets me. At the middle of the open mic night. I'm doing this because really you've motivated me a lot. You gave me first the idea to go to open mic nights earlier this year. I really want to meet you someday. Anyway, I don't at least know you. Hey, you're more than welcome, man. That's an amazing idea, starting your own open mic night in a venue for magicians. I think that's a fantastic idea. And you know what? More people should take a leaf out of your book, because there's a lot of venues that have quieter nights, like on a Monday night or a Tuesday night, and offering them something that will bring more people in. You know, magic is popular. It really is. And if you can get magicians to a open mic night to perform, if there's a lot of magicians in your area and you're giving them an opportunity to perform, and then you can get people in through the door as well, I think that's a super smart idea, Jean-Luc. So please let me know how it goes. I think that's brilliant. Okay, so the next question is Aracle Moore 6534, and they say, hey Craig, love the Netrix, thank you very much, but I was curious, do you think you'll ever go with an app-based design versus just a website? Well, I mean, the website is mobile friendly, it's optimized, you can make it, you know, a little web app at the bottom that you can use to open it. And it was very important to us to make it mobile optimized. It was very important to us to make it so that the functionality is on each platform. So you can start watching something on a laptop, and then you can watch it from the exact same place when you access it on a phone, on a tablet. But we are looking into apps. Now, there's a bunch of other stuff that we're doing in the Netrix at the moment. We're currently reworking a bunch of different stuff. We're constantly building on it. We're constantly creating new ideas and putting new stuff into it. And one of the things, obviously, is the Discord, which we've just built and we're really pushing up. We want to make that a massive asset to the Netrix. So there's a lot of stuff that we're actually doing. However, having said that, yes, very possibly we might be bringing, you know, an app out to go alongside it, but it's not going to happen, you know, in the next 6 to 12 months. It'll be after we've got the changes done that we're doing right now. Okay, so the next question is from Bins Brian, who says, hi Craig, really enjoy your channel. Thank you very much, man. I wanted to thank you for the wonderful interview you did with Diamond Chin Tyler. I love the way you take the time to let your guests express themselves, yet lead them through the interview to keep it entertaining. I did leave a comment on that video that contained a link to his website. I didn't see it in the description. It seemed to be deleted immediately. We would never delete comments like that at all. The only time we start deleting comments is when they're insulting towards a particular person or threatening, which can happen, unfortunately, especially towards me. But in terms of links, we'd never delete that. We have had a couple of people say that comments have been deleted recently, and we've not deleted them. I can assure you. I assume links in the comments are not allowed. I guess this could be abused. No, you can put links in the comments, absolutely, 100%. There should have been a link to his website on the description as well, so I'm sorry if that's not there. We'll go back and we'll add that. But no, thanks for bringing it to my attention, because we shouldn't ever have a comment like that deleted. So thank you, and I'm really glad that you liked the interview. Jim Tyler, Diamond Jim Tyler, is an amazing magician. I was so glad to have him on the channel. Okay, so the next question is Mick Anderson 4274, who says, "Hello again, Craig. Any ideas where to look for routines with the Orphic wallet?" Well, I put a few different routines with the Orphic wallet on the actual platform. I did have more, but we wanted to keep the tutorial really succinct, so I think I only put 3 routines on there in the end. I have actually considered doing a hows and whys of the Orphic wallet, because there's so much more that you can do with it beyond what's on the tutorial. Now, I'll give you, if you want to see a hows and whys on that wallet, please let me know. It's my everyday wallet. I've got 2 of them I carry around. I do it all of the time. I think that the Orphic wallet is amazing. In terms of routines, I can give you a couple of tips. So first of all, look up the interview that I did with Simon Lipkin. In that interview, and if you don't know who Simon Lipkin is, he's an incredible creator of magic and mentalism. He's an actor. He's just a huge deal. Go check out the interview I did with Simon Lipkin, because in that interview, he actually goes through a bunch of stuff. But one of the tricks he describes in his interview is a trick that he actually uses with the Orphic wallet. And the whole idea is that he's got blank credit card stock and he's got some envelopes, and he borrows a credit card and he gets them to put the blank credit cards into the envelopes and put the credit card into the envelope, and he gets it all mixed up. And then he takes a pair of scissors and cuts through the envelopes that they choose, and the one that's left is the one with the credit card in. It's like a close-up version of like smash and stab, and the whole method relies around the Orphic wallet. It's brilliant. So you can go see that on, honestly, it's brilliant. It's one of the best uses of the Orphic wallet there is. So you can go see that if you watch the interview. Now, the other thing that I've seen that's really good is an idea from Rich Relish, which isn't really a trick, but it's an idea of something that you can do with the Orphic wallet that's really super smart. And what it is he's got a picture of a credit card, which is kind of printed out on a piece of paper, right? Just normal piece of paper. And he has that in the ID compartment inside the wallet, but only partially in. It's only partially in. It's not completely in. It's just a fraction of the way in. But the wallet can close and you can do everything with it as normal. And then when he goes to do the peek, he puts the card in the place that you need to be able to do the peek. And then when he opens up the wallet, he gets the peek, but then his thumb pushes the paper into the ID compartment the rest of the way. So he can get the peek, but open up the wallet and very cleanly show that there's nothing to be seen inside the wallet, which I thought was really genius. So there's a couple of different ideas that you can do by Rich Relish and by Simon Lipkin. But I could probably do a hows and whys of this wallet as well. So if you would like to see that, please let me know. Okay, another question from Mick Anderson, who says, Craig, when's your next coin magic project out? I heard you mention a while ago that something is coming out that can be used alongside Apparition. Also, are there any more routines you've come up with for the Mirage coin set? I'm going up to Alakazam later this year, I think probably July, August. And when I go up there, I'm filming a few more bits and pieces for the Mirage coin set to add onto there, because we're constantly adding routines on there. Pete just did a really nice coins to cup on Instagram, which I think he should film for the project, because I thought that was really good, and he used the Mirage coin set. The new coin set has been filmed. All the live performances have been done. I think there was something like 35, 40 routines. It was insanely long. It was a really long shoot, but it was amazing. They've got everything they need for that. Obviously, it's waiting on Roy Cooper's making the gimmicks, which can take a bit of time. But I believe that they're having a soft launch of this coin set at Magic Live. And then after Magic Live, maybe September, October, November, they're going to do a live launch on the website to everybody else. So if you're going to Magic Live, you might get an advanced copy of the new coin set that's coming out from me and Alakazam. But if you don't, it'll be coming out definitely by the end of the year. And you are right. It can be used alongside Apparition. I'll give you a scoop right now. This coin set is going to be the very first coin set that Alakazam have brought out that will be available as a $50 size and a $1-sized option. So you can pick which size you want depending on what you're comfortable with, which I think is an amazing way to go. Okay, so the next question is Adrian Suter. How you doing, Adrian? Hope you're well. And Adrian says, Craig, you're well known for taking other people's tricks or props and coming up with your own routines that take them in a completely new direction. Has there ever been another magician doing the same with one of your tricks? Answer, yes. The person that I would shout out here is Chris James. Now, Chris James is an amazing magician. He really is. And he's the person that I asked to help really spearhead the Discord channel for the Netrix, and it is going great, and we've only launched about 3 days ago. But one thing that Chris has built a reputation up doing is that exact thing. And I remember when Apparition came out, he was posting videos of different routines with Apparition, and he was fooling me with it. He was like fooling me with my own trick. I'm like, how is that even possible? He's like, it's Apparition. I'm like, that makes no sense. And he did the same thing with Mirage. He does the same thing with so many other people's material. It blows me away to the point that I'm probably thinking these days, when a new trick comes out, I'm just going to send it to Chris and get him to do the tutorial for it, because his brain works in a completely different direction to anybody else I know. So if you don't follow him If you don't follow him on Instagram, please do so, because he takes a lot of the stuff that comes out and really changes it around and makes it his own. And watching the videos he puts up gives you massive inspiration for ways that you can take your own magic as well. Okay, so the next question is Scott Sawyer, who says, I remember on another video you said you're a fan of old school wrestling, so just a quick recommendation for you. Reliving the War on the Wrestling Bios YouTube channel breaks down the head-to-head of the Monday Night War and also recaps all the pay-per-views along the way. Wicked! I'll definitely check that out. I'm a big fan of the Monday Night War era. In fact, one of my favourite podcasts is 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff. And it's Eric's take on that 83-week period when WCW beat WWF, as it was back then. And they talk about a bunch of other stuff. But I'm really into that old school wrestling. I'm into new wrestling as well, but I'm into old school wrestling. So I'm definitely going to check that out. Thank you so much for the recommendation. The next question is from Andrew Wiggin, who says, about the left-handed problem, I've seen tutorials that mirror the image and either show both at once or get you to choose which one to watch. That's interesting. As far as the written word, I always refer to my top and bottom hand instead of my left and right hand. As a tutorial maker yourself, perhaps you can spread that around. I always try to refer to my hand wherever possible as the dominant and the non-dominant hand, because obviously to me, my dominant hand is my right hand, but to somebody like Ryland, who's left-handed, the dominant hand would be the left hand. So I do try to do that. It's difficult. Sometimes I forget, but I do try to do that. But yeah, I love the idea of having a mirror image. I'm going to speak to Murphys and Penguin about that. Okay, so the next question is from Andrew Wiggin again, who says, I recently picked up a habit of replacing my normal things with magic versions of them. For example, when I replaced my wallet, I replaced it with a card-to-wallet wallet. I tried to do this with more things, but very quickly found that there's not that many everyday items that have standard gimmicked versions. There's a few watches and rings, but not much else. Why aren't there umbrellas that are also a card sword, or hats that are also a change bag? For all the attention that EDC anytime gets, you'd figure there'd be more stuff like this. Why do you think there's a lack of functional everyday items that have more going on? There are. I mean, there are. You just need to know where to look. So obviously there's the stuff that everybody thinks about. So credit cards and pens and keys and wallets and keychains can all be adapted. But umbrellas, there is a card sword umbrella by Kevin James, which is available off his website, which is a really good routine where you have 3 people pick cards and you do a card sword and 2 of the cards end up on the umbrella. And when you open up the umbrella, the last card is predicted on the open umbrella, which is really cool. Hats, recently me and Ryland reviewed a color changing hat, which was really cool, where you show a black hat and you shake it and it turns red and you put it back on your head. But outside of that, I'm pretty sure Creative Magic back in the day did a change cap. I'm pretty sure they did. They did a change cap. Now, they've gone out of business, but I imagine that somebody else has done a change cap as well. And it was a baseball cap that was built to be a change bag in essence, which was really cool. But you know what, Andrew, if you have an item and you think, hey, I really wish there'd be a gimmick version of this, make a prototype, man. Make a prototype. Find somebody but that's what I did with Keymaster. I couldn't, back in the day, about 18 years ago, I didn't know how to do keys, make keys, special keys. I went to a locksmith and I found somebody that would make it for me. I told them what I wanted. I made it for me. I went to World Magic Shop. I showed it them and they produced it. If you think that there's something out there that is a functional item that's not got a magic equivalent, make it. Figure out what that item could do. Find somebody who can make it. Show it to somebody like a Penguin Magic, an Alakazam, a 1914, a Murphy's Magic, whatever, a Vanishing Ink. Show them and then have it produced. Go for it. Look at this as an opportunity. Look at this as an opportunity to get your name out there as a creator. Okay, so David Blaine says, my question is, basically I'm trying to figure out what's the best prop you've seen. There's a new trailer out there and it's got your quote of saying best prop I've seen in 30 years or something similar. Look, here's the thing. I love magic. I love it. I absolutely love magic, like more than you can possibly know. Like, I am obsessed with it, and I get really excited when I see something that comes out that really, really grabs my attention. So Lux came out, and I said, man, this is the trick of the decade. And I love it. I do it in every gig. I have 4 of them. I have 1 on my keychain. I have 1 in my close-up case. Lux is incredible. The new Julio Monturo trick that's coming out soon. I went on there, and when he showed it me, I was like, oh my God, this is one of the best things that I've ever seen. It's true. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. That moment where you do this, it makes you feel like Harry Potter. It's absolutely brilliant. Destination Box. Look, I've probably made more money from Destination Box than any prop that I've ever had, because I put it into my act about 20 years ago, and the second I put it into my act, I used it as first of all, I used it in close-up to close my close-up set. Then I put it into cabaret to close my cabaret set. Now it's everywhere. It's in my cabaret case. It's in my illusion show case. I do it as a fronted cloth piece in an illusion show. It's in my parlor show set. It's in my close-up set. It's in my kids show set. I use it all of the time. I've probably had more use out the Destination Box than anybody else. I've got a routine that I use it for on stage that I've taught various different people. Cy Pedal, Alex Foden, Nemeth Phoenix, they all do that same routine. It's incredible and I love it, and it's genuinely one of the best things I've ever bought since I've been in magic. But you know what? There's going to be something else. In about 3 months' time, I'm going to look at something, I'm going to go, that's one of the best things I've ever seen. I get excited about magic. There's stuff that comes out that's good. There's stuff that comes out that's really good. And then there's stuff that comes out that makes me go, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing ever. I think what you're talking about is the Destination Box course. My quote was in there about 30 years. So I think you're probably talking about that. But you know what? It's not the be-all end-all. There's other tricks out there that are incredible as well. Just trust me, when I get excited about something like that, I genuinely think it's brilliant. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter. Again, how you doing, Adrian? Hope you're well, buddy. And Adrian says, have you got an example of an expert magician taking a beginner level trick and working on just the performance, making an incredible piece of magic? Well, Mark Lewis, if you don't know who Mark Lewis is, he literally wrote the book on the Svengali deck. He literally wrote the book on the Svengali deck. And you see him perform a Svengali deck. Now, he makes a lot of money from pitching Svengali decks, but you see him perform the Svengali deck, there's hardly anybody better. There's nobody better that does the Svengali deck. But the Svengali deck would go over and above pretty much anything. He could go into any gig and do that Svengali deck routine, and he'll be booked again and again and again. I was speaking to Pigcake a little while ago, and Pigcake was talking about when he was at school and he was learning sleight of hand, and there was this kid that didn't know about sleight of hand, didn't know about magic, but had bought a Svengali deck, and he came into the school and he was showing the Svengali deck to everybody, and people were like, oh, you're good, but this guy's better. You want to see the trick he does with this deck of cards, right? And it's true, it really is. And you look at Mark Lewis and you see what he achieves with the Svengali deck, it's brilliant. Other examples is Eric Tate. Now, Eric Tate is known as a sleight of hand god. He came 3rd place in FISM with card routine. He went on Penn and Teller with his Invisible Monty. He's brilliant. His sleight of hand skills are just second to none. But you know what? He's got so much work with a stripper deck, and he's fooled me over and over and over again with one of the simplest decks, one of the most simple decks you could possibly imagine. But he's got so many interesting things with it and so many interesting concepts. And he's developed routines that involve the stripper deck along with sleight of hand. And that's the perfect example of an expert magician taking a beginner level trick and just making it an incredible piece of magic. You look at somebody like Peter Nardi and his Imagine deck. Now, Imagine deck is basically a reimagination of mental photography. Everybody looks down at mental photography, but mental photography, man, it's sick. You can do so much with mental photography, and Imagine is a better version of mental photography. And you see Harry and Peter Nardi go out there and they kill with this thing. They kill with it, and it's a very simple trick. It's an example of exactly what you're talking about. So yeah, I mean, I'll give you one more. Steve Bedwell. Go and look at Steve Bedwell's performance of the invisible deck. He calls it Shake and Bake. I put my version of it on my my invisible deck project with his permission, but his original thing with a pot noodle container is called Shake and Bake, and he takes an invisible deck that everyone else does, and just with routining and scripting and presentation, he turns it into an absolute masterclass. So yeah, I mean, that's another example. So there's a few examples of expert magicians taking beginner level tricks and turning them into a masterpiece. Next question. What again from Adrian Suter, what are some non-magical activities that could support someone on their way to becoming a better magician? I've talked about a lot of this stuff in the past, but taking acting lessons, specifically acting lessons when it comes to learning vocal projection, learning how to actually carry yourself on stage, learning about the various different parts of a stage, that's important. Also, learn about lighting, learn about sound. You know, when you go out and you start performing as a professional magician, especially if you're going to be on stage, you need to know about lighting, you need to know about stage, you need to know about sound. The amount of times I've been to venues and they're like, hey, you know, how, you know, plug yourself into this kit, and I know how to do it because I've got experience doing all of that stuff. But knowing all about how to actually run the tech side of a show, I think is very, very important. Understanding about theatre and stagecraft is as important as learning any trick. Taking improv classes and learning how to improvise is also really important. Learning improvisation will allow you to ad-lib. Learning scripting, going out and taking creative writing lessons so you can become better at scripting and you can craft better jokes, very important. Talking about jokes, if you want to be a comedy magician, learning stand-up comedy is a great thing to do, really is. And that's not even taking into consideration, you know, learning how to approach people, you know, go to a networking group and learn how to actually walk up to a complete stranger and get them talking to you within a couple of seconds. Learn how to network, learn how to get people to know you, like you, and trust you. And then there's all of the business side of things, learning how to run a business, learning how to scale a business, learning about accounting, learning about bookkeeping, learning about digital marketing, web design, SEO, PPC. All of this stuff is very, very important. Learning how to be a magician isn't just about learning the tricks. There's so many other things that you can learn. Okay, so the next question is from Divishan Magician, who says, why are children without a driving license not allowed to join Slightly Unusual if their parents can drive them? So I'll give you some frame of reference because that's kind of an odd question. He's talking about my company, Slightly Unusual, and he applied to join Slightly Unusual. The problem is, and it's my fault because I didn't realize that Divishan didn't drive. It's my fault. But we don't take anyone on board who doesn't drive, and that's based on running this company now for like 15 years or so, and every time we've been let down and we've been scrambling around at the last minute, it's because the person doesn't drive. Look, here's the thing: when you are a professional magician, you have to get to the gig, right? That's what you have to do. That's step one: get to the gig. Now, Divishan says here his parents can drive them, which is absolutely fine, but we can't have anybody in our company when you're relying on somebody else. I've had it in the past. I had somebody about 5 years ago say to me, hey, it doesn't matter that I can't drive. I can't drive, but it doesn't matter because I've got my sister. I live with my sister. She will give me a lift anywhere. She doesn't work on the weekends. It's absolutely fine. And I gave them a punt. And within literally 2 to 3 weeks, they let us down. and he didn't call me until like literally the morning of the event. And the event was at 5 o'clock, and the event was in Portsmouth. And he called me at 5 o'clock. He called me in the morning at about 8 o'clock and said, I'm not going to be able to make it to the gig. My sister has had something come up, and I'm not going to be able to make it there because the trains aren't running. So I had to go, or something to do with public transport. I'm not sure. I don't know what. But basically, he couldn't go. So I had to jump in a car with my kids, with Sarah, and drive all the way down to Portsmouth just to go and cover a job because I didn't want to let a client down. Now, that's just the cold, hard reality. You can't rely on anybody else. You just can't rely on anyone else. If you want to join my company, you have to be able to drive, because we have to rely on you being able to get to gigs, because we've built a reputation up of never letting a client down. We have never let a client down. We're very proud of that. And we never let a client down. And one of the reasons is because we have some people on board that have that show must go on mentality, which is great. And I'm sure, Divishan, you've got that mentality. But if you're relying on other people to drive when you can't drive, then there's another factor that needs to be considered, and we just can't have that. Now, I know there's a certain irony in that I don't drive, but it's my company. You know, I'm the exception to the rule. I may not drive, but I get the pick of the gigs. You know, we do 15, 20,000 events a year. I can pick the gigs that are more local to me. Or I typically go on the illusion shows where we're going in a van and somebody else is driving. Or I'll go away for the weekend and I'll go with Sarah and we'll go away for a couple of days and I'll do the gig while I'm away. Or I do like trains and I'll catch the train, but I really like trains because it gives me a chance to do work. So I'll go really early and I'll get to the gig like a few hours early. That's fine. But we've been burnt more than once by people joining the company and not being able to drive. And that's just the way it is. And I know I can see you've got another question here, which is what are the best entertainment event agencies that kids can join? The thing is, I don't know many that will take kids on, because here's the problem, right? And here's the issue. When you're a kid, what am I trying to say here? When you're a kid, you go into certain situations and it's reflected. You're fighting an uphill battle. So, for example, okay, we've got this weekend, this Saturday, I think we've got like, I don't know how many, but we've got a ton of corporate events, right? Where we've been booked by a client to send a magician to go along and perform close-up magic at a particular event. Now, they've booked us because they've seen our website, they've seen videos on our website showcasing certain stuff, they've seen videos on our website showcasing who we are and what we do. Now, when we take a booking, we don't tell them who the magician is. The magician contacts them the day before. If we send somebody who's obviously a lot younger, take the driving thing out of consideration for a minute. If we send somebody who's a lot younger, and let's say they've seen us at another gig and they've seen somebody like me or Nemid or Alex or Kieran or Thomas or whoever go along, and then you go along, you're in a difficult situation, because now all of a sudden they're going to judge you because you look a lot younger than who they were expecting, right? Now, Ryland gets that. But the difference with Ryland is we can kind of say to people, well, look, he's been on America's Got Talent. He's been on Britain's Got Talent. And also, when Ryland goes and does gigs, normally he does stage. And when he does close-up, he's got a close-up job this weekend. When he does close-up, we'll make them aware of it beforehand. Like, we'll be booking, we normally book specifically for Ryland. People will ring up and say, hey, is Ryland available for this? Is Ryland available for that? So it may only be 10, but they're booking because they want Ryland. Or it's rare that Slightly Unusual take a booking and we send Ryland, unless it's the Illusion Show, because obviously it's a big part of the Illusion Show. But if it's a close-up gig, it's very rare for people to just book Slightly Unusual and for us to send Ryland. That probably wouldn't happen. Ryland takes close-up bookings through his own website. He's not taking, in fact, he rarely takes bookings through Slightly Unusual, to be honest. He takes bookings because people contact him directly, not because they're coming through Slightly Unusual. As somebody who runs an entertainment agency, it's rare that we would send Ryland to any sort of gig like that. And in terms of other entertainment agencies, which are the best ones? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I would do the research that I did when I first started and go out there and look for the various different entertainment agencies. But please understand that you've only got one chance to make a first impression. And if you send a video in, here's the thing, you need to, I would love to work with you when you're older and you can drive 100%. And, but I'd love to work with you. I really would. And we've had conversations about this before. And I'd love to bring you into Slightly Unusual, but you've got to be able to drive. And also, we need assets to sell you. Now, from a marketing point of view, it's not the job of the entertainment agency to get the assets to sell you, right? It's your job to supply them to us. So when you join an entertainment agency, there's probably going to be a ton of other magicians on their books as well. How do you stand out? You stand out by supplying some amazing photos, by writing some amazing ad copy, and by supplying a show reel that makes people go, you know what? That guy, that's who I want. Now, at the moment, you haven't got any of that. You haven't got your show reel. You haven't got your photos. You haven't got any of that. So my advice would be to focus on getting that first and go out and do some free shows. Go out and do some free shows and ask for, say, hey, I'll come along and I'll do this event. Go to a charity night. Everyone's going to be suited and booted in black tie, and say to them, hey, I want to bring somebody to come along and film my performances. In return, I'll come along and do close-up magic for you for free, or I'll do a spot on stage for you for free. I just want to be able to get this footage. Is that okay? You go to enough charity events, they're going to say yes. You get all that footage, you then teach yourself how to edit videos. It's very simple to use something like iMovie to create a simple show reel. My first show reel was created in iMovie using footage that I took on my phone. You get that footage, you use it, and you create a show reel. So that when you go to an entertainment agency, you say, hey, yeah, I'd love to join your entertainment agency, but I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And they go, wow, you've got all of this stuff that I can use to sell you. You're definitely somebody that we want to take on board. As opposed to just coming along and going, well, hey, get me gigs, please. I don't have any photos. I don't have any videos. I don't really have an ad copy, and I can't drive. So what I would do is I would look at this as a positive instead of a negative. And what I would do is I would use this time to contact local charities, not street theatre, not busking, not anything like that, because that will not look good on a show reel. I'm talking about contacting charities and contacting events where people are coming along and having a good time, and say to them, look, I will come along for free, and then hire a videographer, hire somebody to go along with you, or get a friend to do it. But you want to get somebody who knows what they're doing, right? Because you've only got one chance to get this footage. Go to a film school and say, hey, I'll give you 50 quid if you film it, and then get that footage. And that's what you can use to create your assets, because that's what you need. You need assets. You need a digital footprint. You need social proof in order to make yourself sellable to an entertainment agency, because entertainment agencies get people contacting them all of the time saying, hey, please go on my books. Let me go on your books. So how do you stand out compared to the dozens of other people? If you're contacting an entertainment agent and somebody else is, and that person has got a show reel, and they've got a website, and they've got photos, and they've got ad copy, and they've got an active social media presence with tons of performances on there, and then you've got no website, no ad copy, no photos really that are usable, and no video. And you look at Ryland. Okay, use Ryland as an example because he's a kid. He's got that. He's got footage of him being on AGT. He's got footage of him being on BGT. He's got footage of him at the Magic Circle. He's got footage of him in various different competitions. He's got footage of him performing everywhere. He's got a show reel. He's got loads of photos, both action photos at gigs and also headshots. He's got 20,000 followers on Instagram. He's got 1,000+ followers on YouTube. He's got a 2.5 million reach on Facebook. He's got all of this stuff. And it's come from various different gigs he's gone to, right? So if Ryland went to a entertainment agency and you did, which person would they pick? And they might not take kids. That's the other thing. You might want to hold off a year or two, get tons of experience, get tons of assets, and then go out and contact all those different entertainment agencies. And in terms of which ones do you go to that are local to you, Entertainment agencies work all over the UK. We book gigs John O'Groats to Land's End. So it's not about finding one local to you. It's about finding the best one for you. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Thank you once again for joining me right here on Magic TV. Don't forget, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. And if you want to, go ahead and check out the Netrix. It's www.thenetrix.com. We've got 5 new tricks that we're putting up tomorrow that are incredible, including Sharp, which is my multi-phase shrinking, growing Sharpie routine that went on as a Magic Live a couple of days ago. That's there for everybody on the Netrix to learn, along with all of the slides. We've just updated the pen manipulation section of the Netrix as well, so things are getting very exciting. And also, you can get access the second you join to the Discord, and I guarantee you, mark my words, within a year, this is going to be the #1 Discord in the Magic community. Guys, hopefully I'll check you out. Hopefully you can check out the Netrix. You can check out Discord. Either way, thanks very much for watching. Have a great weekend. My name's Craig from Magic TV.